Hey guys, Mel Bell here. I am going to delve into a topic that is not lighthearted, and I wanted to start off with a disclaimer. So, if you don't believe in curses, this video is not for you. If you think it's just a matter of mind over matter, that you make it up in your head, and that is why you experience things that make you think you're cursed, this video is not for you. Please just don't watch this. This is specifically for a certain group of people, and I am going to share with them my experience and my thoughts around it. And I am going to not be apologetic whatsoever in what I believe about this situation. So, with that being said, to those who have stayed, I am giving a shout out to one of my subscribers, who's Heidi. And Heidi asked about this about a month ago. Heidi, I'm sorry it took so long for me to do this video. I have been processing it and thinking about it, and I just wanted to be in the right headspace to really speak well on this one. Because it's very important. It's important to me, and it's important that the information I share is correct. And if anybody's new to this channel, just know that if there are subjects you want to talk about or hear about, please feel free to ask me that in the comments, and I do take note of that, and I will look into speaking on such topics. Okay, so I did write a few notes on this. So there's a difference with like a curse. Let's say you had an interaction with a fortune teller, a witch. Maybe you're into paganism and you had a friend who was also into paganism, and you guys clashed and you feel like they did something to you. And ever since you guys clashed, you've been having this bad luck. So there's a bunch of different levels to this. So someone can put a hook into you, and that is an energetic hook. So sometimes you might come across a fortune teller that will tell you that your family has a curse and that they need to break it for you. There's different stories that they have. Some will say, like, they're the ninth sister out of 9 sisters, and every sister burns a candle depending on what number sister they are, and every candle is $20. And since they're the ninth sister, it's going to cost you $180 to break this curse, because she has to burn 9 candles for you in her church. I have been presented with that. I have been told by more than one psychic that there was a curse on my family, and I believe there's a curse on my family, or was. We'll get into that later. But I don't believe it because they said it, because I had believed it before they said it. They will tell anybody that there's a curse. And when I say they, there is a particular kind of psychic person that is an energy vampire that will prey on people by scaring them in that way. And if they're able to scare them, they engage with them on an energetic level, and they get an energetic hook into you. At this point, they are draining you of your energy and hopefully your money, because if you're scared, you may start going to them, and they will find different ways to pull money out of you, which you will think is for your own good. And really, it's just a way for them to maintain a connection with you where they can have you as a source of income. So that being said, you don't need to go to anybody to break a curse that is on yourself or your family. So not every time that you have a situation where you feel like there's negative energy directed towards you is not necessarily a curse, because people sometimes are very strong energetically and have no idea. And so they can get mad at you and they fling the energy. That's different. That's not a curse. A curse is an intentional act made by somebody who knows how to do it. That oftentimes that means that they had an item of yours, or an item from your family. It could be a fingernail clip, and it could be hair from a brush. It could be a toothbrush. There's a lot of items that can work. It's really, it falls along the lines of DNA. When they're looking for something personal from you, it's something that they can trace back to your soul, basically. And that is how they're able to energetically tap in and curse you. Now, they can also use photos, and some are skilled enough that they can do it with just a very strong intention. However, something that is done with just intention is not long lasting. It is things with objects that tend to be more long lasting. So, all of that said, I don't want to get so far into how it works. Some people believe that you have to know how it works in order to break it. I'm not of that belief. So, if it's a curse that's on you in this lifetime, that's easier to break than a family curse, a generational curse. Now, a generational curse, a family curse, you will notice a pattern. There will be a pattern. Sometimes it'll hit all the men in the family. Sometimes it hits all the women. Sometimes it hits children, or like there's a pattern. It's not just bad luck. If it's bad luck, it's bad luck around cars or travel or relationships, lovers, things like that, illness, health. It's not often just a cluster of everything. Like, it's normally there's one thing that's a pattern in the whole family, and or the women in the family, there's some kind of indicator. You can trace back through your family and see that this happened to this person and this person and this person and this person. That is when that's an indicator. Okay? If you have family that your ancestry is in the islands, or in places that were heavily pagan, you can also trace it back to that. Like, it's more likely that that's possible. Then there's this whole other wrench into the situation, which is you can be experiencing past life karma that's not a curse. It could be that you were persecuted in a number of past lives, and so in this life you carry that energy with you. That's not a curse. That is a pattern that you've carried from a past life. That's where past life healing comes from. And so discernment is really important. Now, if you think that you've been cursed, the last thing you want to do is be afraid, because fear helps nobody in any situation. So fear is not going to help the situation. That being said, if you notice in your family that there are patterns, or is a pattern, and let me give you an example of a pattern. Women on one side of your family are always in abusive relationships, and you can go back all the way to grandparents, great grandparents, and things like that, who experienced something like that. And maybe the men that they experienced this with had a certain name or a certain initial, or they came from a certain place. Those are the indicators. So a curse can't be carried out to just screw up somebody's life. You can't just do a curse and be like, I just want everything bad to happen to this person. It has to be streamlined. And so I want to step in here and say, nothing happens to you in that way that is not seen by a divine being, by a higher power. So if a curse is allowed to be carried out upon you, it's because you have the power to break it. You have the power to evolve spiritually and as a physical person, as a being in your life. So when negative things like that happen, it's not that the curse itself is stronger than any higher power. That's never the case. It can also have to do with your karma tied into the other person's karma. So you guys are playing out a karma by that person cursing you because of some past lives connections that you could have, or things like that. These generational curses often have an entity attached to them that carries things out. It's not just an energy. And so that can sound a little bit scary, but your strength lies in the power of your spiritual connection to higher beings and to your higher self. So what happens is, when you are in that situation where you have something like this, it is your spiritual connection that shifts it, that changes it, that breaks it. And that is because you have your free will. Somewhere within this whole situation, you have let it in. So none of us are perfect. When we go through trauma, or we have, or we do something that we really shouldn't have been involved in, we do create damage to our aura, in which case we can allow for the space for something to attach to us. And unfortunately also there tends to be a person, and I read this somewhere, one person in a family that will break a generational curse for the whole family. That person may have to forego some things that are a given for other people. So they might not get married, like, or they might not have love for a very long time in the first half of their life, or they might not have kids. There are certain ways that this may express. They have like problems with money. They are poor for a very long time. It normally is in the beginning half of life, and it's not. It is like bearing the burden of the family, of the ancestry, of the ancestral line. And so there are situations where your ancestors were not on the right side and somebody cursed them for something they did wrong. And so that's where we come in to sovereignty. And sovereignty is where you are self-governed. And in this situation, in this topic, when we talk about sovereignty, we're talking about seeing yourself as an individual, as a free spirit, as your own self. When you're looking at yourself and your soul, you're not looking at all of your ancestral connections. Sometimes you have to step out of that stream and be your own sovereign being in order to create change in the situation and in your own life. And then you can step back in and embrace the ancestral line and provide healing to it. Okay, so there's a lot of different things that you can do to bring that about. It's going to be different for everybody. It's going to depend on your higher self, and it's going to depend on the pattern. So, for example, for me, I'm not going to share my pattern, but I'm just going to say that I know there is one, and I can trace it back through my family, and I know the indicators. And so I have purposely avoided certain things to not have to deal with that. Now, when I was younger, I played it out. played out the scenario. Every once in a while, I stick my foot out in the water, and there's a shark in the water, and so I take my foot back out. Haven't put my foot in a long time, but the point is that I know what it is. You don't need to tell anybody what yours is. You only need to know. And so knowing the pattern, you know the indicators, and so just don't get involved in that situation or with those people or whatever it is until you are able to remove this. I think that this is a time in our world right now where we are breaking away from this kind of thing, like the past. And I felt like it was really important to share this right now because a lot of us have the opportunity to spend time really thinking about this, thinking about what it means to be a sovereign being, thinking about what it means to be yourself standing alone without a last name that connects you to the rest of your bloodline and your of both sides of your family, and all of your past lives. Like, who are you today? Who are you now? There's so many things that have to be done, but you can't save your family from themselves. The best gift you can give to any family member is to provide a strong, positive energy to the bloodline, to your family. That is not just physical blood, that is energy. And so when you heal yourself and when you free yourself from attachments and restrictions and curses and energetic ties and knots and all such things, you are empowering your family as well. And they might never know that it was you that did it, but it will bless the family and it will end with you. So you can have this end with you and have that the rest of your family no longer carries this with them. Okay, so I hope that if you don't have a generational curse and you think it's just yours and just now, in this lifetime, that you can still watch through this and take what you need from it. So that being said, it is helpful to state that you are a sovereign being. I am a sovereign being. I am a sovereign being. I am my own person. I have my own fate, my own destiny. I call on my higher self to be with me right now. I call on the wisdom and the power of all of my past lives. I bring it into the forefront now. I bring it to the center of myself now. And I draw upon this to end this curse, this affliction, whatever you want to call it. A ritual would be very helpful. And when I say a ritual, I think some people think, you gotta do it on a full moon, and on the darkest night, and we're gonna have to sacrifice an animal. And rituals are really just moments where you spend with yourself, engaging in your higher self and higher beings. Now, there are dark rituals, so I can't claim it for the light, but we're talking about the light, okay? We're not talking about dark rituals. We're talking about lighting a white candle and saying, I am a sovereign being, calling my higher self and all of the wisdom that I've gained in all of my past lives. I'm calling all of that power to myself in this present life, in this moment right now. I call on my higher powers. I call on my divine team. I ask that you be with me right now. I intend to clear my energy field of all negative entities and dark spirits. I intend to clear my energy field, my physical body, my mind, my aura from any damage, any energetic hooks. I call on Archangel Michael to come down and sever any energetic cords that are attached to me from people who wish me ill will. Okay, you just get specific with that. And sometimes you need to do it more than once, but you're going to notice a change. You're going to feel a change. Some of the things that you can use: black tourmaline. Black tourmaline is really great for a psychic attack. Somebody told me, this was like in the conversation in the comments section, that part of her curse was that she couldn't use black stones. And she learned that using the black stones, which would be protective for her and her family, were having an ill effect. I've never experienced that, but I'm not going to say that's not true for her and her family. And so in her situation, she had to go lighter. She had to go way lighter. Like, and when I say, like, black stones aren't bad, but they're protective. But then there are also like angel aura quartz. Quartz itself, rose quartz, are also high energy loving stones. Celestite is a beautiful loving energy stone. So there are other ways to do it. And I mention that because you're going to need to line up with what you need to do. Now, if you are being serious, you will get the guidance you need in tapping into your higher self. And like I said, if this has presented itself to you and does not go away, it's a challenge for you. It is a way for you to grow and learn. And sometimes we are given negative experience lessons to grow from, to power up, to level up. And it is what it is. So I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying it is what it is. So maybe on the other side, when I pass away, it'll make a lot more sense to me. But at this point, I just accept that that's the way it is. And these are the things that you can do to remove yourself from that kind of bondage. Because that's what it is. It is a bondage when there is an energetic attachment that is causing things to happen in your life. When someone has cursed someone in your family and it has followed down your family line, that's super messed up. But I feel like people were very loose with curses back in the day. I like to think that people have evolved a little more lately. Maybe not. But that's really hardcore to want to hurt somebody and their family and their those that will come after them in their family. And like, you have to really have done something really bad. And even then, what do the children have to do with it? But there is a part in the Bible, what does it say? Like, sins of the father are visited on the children or the sons, something like that. I'm not Christian. That just came to mind. Also, evil eye charms. Now, I said I was gonna get one. I forgot. I'm sorry. Give me 1 second. Where are you? There you are. Okay. So, evil eye charms are freaking amazing. This is an evil eye charm. Okay? They come in all sorts of things. They come in wall hangings. We have an emoji now on our iPhones of the evil eye. Type evil eye and you'll see the little emoji. Evil eye is basically exactly what it's called. It detects evil being directed at you, and it deflects it. I have an evil eye hanging on my wall. I got it on my keys. I got one on my purse. I'm not without it because it works. And I don't want to see if it doesn't work anymore. I've done a lot of work on some energetic ties that I have to past lives and to family members in this life and in past lives and in my ancestral line. I've done a lot of work. I've done some soul retrieval work. And so the Native Americans believe in soul retrieval, meaning that a part of your soul, a fragment, can be left in times of trauma. And so you can call back those parts of you that have been left in places of trauma so that you are a more whole being. Like your soul is all here and present with you now. That is a very powerful thing to do. I would check out soul retrieval. Okay. There are anti-hex herbs. You can Google anti-hex herbs. One thing you can do is give yourself an anti-hex bath. So an anti-hex bath, you take a pot, sauce pot is fine. Like, it doesn't have to be that big old pot. It doesn't have to be a cauldron. It's just a pot, and you boil some water in it, and you put these herbs in it. And you let it steep, and you let it simmer, and then you draw yourself a bath, and you pour that pot into the tub, and you get in the tub, and you dunk yourself about 3 good times, and you will feel some really, like, for me, I feel wide awake. Like, I've done it a few times, and I just feel wide awake. Like, clean and wide awake. It's hard to explain, but an anti-hex bath is a way that you can clear your aura super fast and get rid of energetic attachments super fast. Sometimes Archangel Michael can help and do the whole thing, but sometimes you have to participate in ritual practice to really carry it out. It just depends on what your divine plan is. And so not everybody experiences these things because they're not a part of their life path. So when people say, I've never experienced that and I don't believe in that, that's not their reality. So don't feel the need to fight against it or make them prove to them what you're talking about, because it might never be their reality. Goddesses such as Hecate, Bridget, and Kali are really helpful for guiding and aiding you in breaking of curses. And Coventry Candles is a candle company that makes a hex breaker trio of candles. There are 4 votives for breaking hexes. They also have an evil eye candle that is huge and wonderful and beautiful. Their candles are not the cheapest. It's better to find them in stores than to buy them directly from the site. Coventry Candles. But if they are, if money is not a big deal for you right now, then please buy from their site. Just depends. Like, there's an herbal store by me that sells their candles. And their candles are like $20 a piece. They're long taper candles, but they are magical candles. Like, they do what they say they're gonna do. They are super powerful and they're worth the money, 100%. So all that being said, I did ask before I came on to protect this conversation, and I just want to again call on Archangel Michael. To everybody who has participated in this conversation, as if you could talk to me and I'm talking back to you, to everybody who listened to this message, please surround them with your protective energy if they so choose to accept it. So as sovereign beings, you have your free will, and the angels will not assist you unless you ask. There are certain times where, like, if you're in immediate danger, the angels know that your higher self doesn't want you to get hit by this car. And so the angels can step in. But there's a lot of different situations where there's self harm or external harm happening that they're not stepping in on because you have to ask and request for that assistance. I ask Archangel Michael to protect this message for those who are watching it now, who will watch it in the future. And I ask that only those who need this message hear this message. And I am sending you my love and my light. And I hope that some of this resonated with you and helped assist you in your journeys of freeing yourself from all bondage, of all negativity, from past lives, from this life, from things that you had nothing to do with but are bearing the burden of. This is a special time in our human existence. There's a lot possible right now that was not possible before. And so do not feel like you're on the same playing field as you were even 5 years ago. Things are different, and there is the ability to make really great changes in your life right now and shift your path. You can have the same destiny, but go down a much easier road to the same destination. You can stay on a really rocky road and get to that destination, the same as you can go down a nice smooth road by the coastline, get the fresh ocean air, and still get to your destination. So there is a choice in that way. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to comment and let me know. If you have any suggestions for content, please subscribe to my channel and like this video. If you would like to see more, you can also click that little bell that will alert you when I have sent out a new video. Thank you very much for watching, and take care.